it's always challenging to produce more, to utilize the resources that you have, and like all of those additional things, just adding the complexity, adding the struggle. But like we discussed, I think today, you said that where there are difficulties and issues, there are also like different opportunities and possibilities. So welcome everyone. This is MTech Accelerate. My name is Nikolai Shitikhin and I have Jim Johnston with me. How you doing, Jim?
Hi, Nick. I'm doing good, man. And you?
Yeah, doing really well, really well. It's the end of the year, so that's why we're doing something interesting, something special today. So we're going live on LinkedIn and we're trying to stay closer to our audience. So everybody who joined us today on this live session, thank you very much. Thumbs up. And let's see what we can get going. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do we figure anyway? What sort of stats have we got on our Agcelerate podcasts over the last 12 months? Nick, remind me.
Yeah. So I looked at the stats and we have released 15 episodes starting late January this year with the season 2, and we had 6 guests on all those episodes. So it was pretty busy. So we really appreciate those guests. Thank you very much for joining us on our Accelerate episodes. Guests are always making the episode is more live and better and more informative. That's what it's important.
Yeah, thanks to the guests. We like talking to people about chicken, don't we? So that was good. Thank you all very much. And it's been a busy year. I guess, the first half of the year maybe wasn't as busy as we would have liked, thanks to a COVID pandemic, which kind of shut us down a bit over the first half of the year. But really from July, we've been out there and visited quite a number of countries, Nick, between us.
Yeah, it's been quite a good half of the year. We've been on the road, been visiting plenty of places. We went to Germany, Sweden, Denmark, UAE, Netherlands, France, Egypt. So quite a wide geography. And we met quite a lot of different people, starting from farmers to integrators to our business partners, customers, and we met them on different venues, right? So it's not necessarily just a direct visit, but we also started visiting shows this year, and it was also a pretty nice experience.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. So the second half, from my point of view, meeting more people, but also because the first time that I've ever attended SPAS in France, in Rennes, which was a really good experience. In fact, it was where we first recorded. Was it our first kind of recording outside the studio of Accelerate? So that was good fun. Lots of nice people we met there. Very interesting show. And then we went on more recently to Viv Middle East and Africa, which was a really, really good event. I thought went really well attended, considering the COVID situation was still live and active. But these were 2 really good shows.
Yeah, I agree. And they were quite different, right? So the format is always more or less the same. There are exhibitors, there are visitors, and everybody's just walking around making connections and trying to do business. But the format, the same, but the shows felt very different because there were different main topics, different main themes that are going around. Because in SPAS, it was quite a lot of technology driven, solar panels, all of that. And in VivMia, what I noticed was more about breeding, more about health, different types of vaccine equipment. So quite different. At least this is what I felt.
Yeah, I think you're right. There was some really good stuff on renewable energy, how you use solar technology, new technology in SPAS, and that was very, very evident in the walk around the exhibition. And yeah, I mean, the Middle East and Africa event was really cool, but I agree, different trends, different messaging going there. Lots of pharmaceutical businesses selling their wares, but lots of lots of smaller farmers interested in technology and Viv MEA as well, which was quite interesting. Certainly kept us on our toes for the full 3 days of that exhibition.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It was a busy show, definitely. Both of them were busy. I'm more surprised of spas being very busy because it was at this first half of the second half of the year, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and when the conditions about travel and COVID were still not very certain, some countries were still trying to get out of quarantines and lockdowns. So, but the attendance was great. So, I mean, it's a good sign that maybe next year will be even easier.
Fingers crossed, hey. But there's a kind of pent up demand to get back to meeting people, I think, and that's what we saw at Spas and Vivmia as well. People want to get back out to meeting people face to face. But if you look at the year overall, I guess for the industry, it was a real challenging year. Some big issues that were having to be wrestled with across the year. We had highs of soybean pricing and raw materials generally, be it maize or wheat, were at strong pricing, stronger than we've seen for many years. We had energy prices that have just gone through the roof again. And more recently, as we've come into the Northern Hemisphere winter, that's really impacting the industry as we move into the worst of the winter weather in terms of prices for gas and fuel generally. We looked at massive changes in product mix as a result of COVID, shut down large parts of the restaurant and fast food service chains in the first half of the year. And a lot of that product was then diverted, if you like, through into retail outlets. So huge change in terms of product mix for poultry producers and processing plants to deal with. And I guess all of that's been shaking out in the second half of the year and reorganizing itself. So that's been quite a challenge for lots of people we've been speaking to over the last year. And the other key element here, certainly in the Northern Hemisphere, is avian influenza, which has picked up really bad earlier than normal this year, this winter, kind of first kicking off in late October, early November in Europe. And we've seen record numbers of outbreaks in commercial flocks. I think the UK is sitting somewhere around 60 outbreaks in commercial poultry flocks since the late October. And that is the largest episode that we've ever had, I think, in this country so far on avian influenza. So quite an aggressive strain there. That's creating all sorts of problems and headaches for the industry right now as we speak.
Yeah, so overall, not very easy year, and I don't really think that there are some easy days and times in poultry industry because it's always challenging to produce more, to utilize the resources that you have, and like all of those additional things, just adding the complexity, adding the struggle. But like we discussed, I think today you said that where there are difficulties and issues, there are also like different opportunities and possibilities. And the market was still, I wouldn't say that stable, it was still going up and down throughout the year, and many companies had to adjust their production. We saw cases of downsizing of poultry placement, and again here in UK, that was a perfect example, and all around the world. But some industries felt better, like egg industry was still doing quite well, and especially in many regions in North America, egg market was growing. So it all differs, right? And especially with these things, like like you mentioned, the product mix that changed from food service to retail, and then they will start switching back, and we don't know what is going to happen with it. Probably will never be the same as it was before, but there are plenty of trends that we saw this year, and one of them that it was quite striking to me, and it's not really poultry or industry related, well, it is related, food industry related, that many more people start doing deliveries. Before, delivery was, I would consider this to be like for rich people, right? But now delivery, like food, groceries, restaurant deliveries, is something that is happening all the time. You see these guys are just going up and down the roads all the time delivering something. And grocery deliveries are just branching out into completely different area. So many companies popping up, and all they do is just deliver food, deliver it fast, deliver it efficiently. So you don't have to go to the shop. And it's also affecting how customers are getting food on their table and what kind of products they want for that table. And again, if this will be a continuing trend, many organizations that are producing food will have to readjust their supply chains, because before COVID, everything was more or less balanced. It was working. It was, sometimes there were some disruptions, but it was working and everything was working out. But then COVID happened and everything had to switch quickly to the retail, because all the restaurants were closed. Then the restaurants start opening up and everything start to redo it again. But what happened? I don't know what happened next. That's one of the things that I really noticed. And the other thing that I noticed throughout the year, you see on the news that many companies that are posting big posts and press releases about their carbon goals. Everybody's trying to be carbon neutral or negative, and they have quite ambitious goals on that. And I think we discussed about this in one of our previous episodes. So what other trends you saw this year?
Well, I think I agree with you. Both the items you've mentioned are key. And the first one that you did talk about was the home delivery aspect. Of course, that gives producers an opportunity to deal directly with the customer, directly with the end user or consumer of the product. And there have been a number of poultry businesses globally that have looked at now internet sales directly to the consumer, which I think is really interesting. They tend to be maybe more niche producers, top end equality, organic, etc., but gives that opportunity again to build on. The other things, I guess, in that same vein, in terms of looking at the more premium products, it would be the ongoing free range and organic and these types of products that have continued to be there and grow, albeit, in a place like the UK, they're not a massive part of the poultry industry at the moment, but they're there, maybe 5% or so in terms of chicken meat of the total poultry produced, but it's growing slowly. And the other interesting thing this year has been the kind of flow over from the Netherlands into France and other European countries, and now into the UK to an extent, of this better chicken commitment. So where retailers and food service companies determine that they want birds to be grown less in terms of stocking density, they want the birds to be of a different genetic material, grow slower, and apparently more welfare friendly as a result. So that drive is coming out of largely the Netherlands and retail in the Netherlands, and it's pushing around through other European countries. And I think that will continue to grow again in terms of these premium products, the extent in the UK that it is in the Netherlands, where it's bought 60% of the chicken through retail, or all the chicken through retail. But it's certainly going to be something the industry needs to think about and cater for in most Western countries. And I did notice there was a bit last week publishing, is it GAP, in terms of their standards in the US, we're starting to think about this same thing too. So that's something that's really started to get some traction around the world this year. The other thing I noticed, we did a bit of a discussion really on insect protein a while back, and on one of the podcasts, and of course in recent months that's been formally adopted and approved by the EU to be fed to livestock, poultry or swine. So again, the whole insect protein, alternative protein thing has been quite a running theme through this year, that is getting people looking at alternatives to soybean, and shipping soybean from the Americas across here to Europe. So that will continue, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else? Anything else you spotted, Nick?
Well, I mean, I just wanted to add on this animal protein, or insect protein into the feeds, because it started quite several years ago, but it was not getting major development. Companies start building facilities, and using that protein mostly for, producing food products, but it was not allowed to go into the animal feed. But now we'll see how this will develop once this regulation is approved, and it can go. Maybe there will be a boom of the animal protein production, but we'll see. But also, one other thing I noticed that we've been talking to multiple people that are just all over the world, and we saw that all of them requiring some kind of remote access to their facilities. Especially that was quite obvious when the lockdowns start happening, and people got stuck in some country that is quite far away from where they produce or where the office is, or where they need to be. And it was obvious that there is a immediate need right now, to get some kind of tools that will allow users and people and managers and accountants and farmers to get data on their mobile devices or on their computers at home or at their home offices, that are far away from the plants, farms, and facilities.